Awesome. Great. So, just to start us off, thinking about what is your biggest stress when you think about Christmas? So, going into December next week, is there anything that comes to mind when you think, oh God, that's going to be difficult for me? So just pop it in the chat if there's anything that comes to mind. The thing for me, I think, really is the amount of socializing and being able to be like present at all of the things that come up. I find that quite stressful and a bit overwhelming at times. And then just like the food and the drink that then comes with that. So it's something that I try to stay in control of. And last year was probably the first time that I actually managed to do that. So what you're saying, yeah, overeating and time to do everything. Perfect. So I'm hoping that from this session, I can give you some tips around how to overcome those stresses. So the objectives I've set for this session is to understand and give you guys some strategies for how to have a guilt-free Christmas and focusing around exercise, nutrition, and the mindset. And then with that, hopefully you can take away some actionable tips that you can start implementing immediately is my goal. And also to help you feel empowered to enjoy the season, the whole month, whatever happens without any guilt or overthinking. And then hopefully address those stresses that you just mentioned. So just a little agenda, it'll probably run for about half an hour, a bit around me. Hiya, Liv. And then I'll talk through the framework that I've created, a little bit about my program and how I've got to where I am now, and then open the floor to Q&A at the end. So you guys probably know this already, but just a little bit of background about myself. So I was born with a clicky hip, which means I have an imbalance on my left-hand side, meaning my left leg is shorter than my right. And it's one of the reasons why fitness has been so important to me in my life, because I always wanted to carry on doing stuff if it wasn't stopping me. And want to make sure that when I'm a bit older that I don't have any problems with that. So it's been really a main driver behind why I am so active. That said, I have had bad relationships with food. Growing up in the noughties and the 90s, carbs being the devil, and I've definitely crash dieted, not eaten things, cut my calories, etc., which is not a healthy way to do it. Was always a runner. Until sort of my late 20s, when I decided to overcome the fear of the gym and actually start lifting some weights, and found sort of a balance of being able to do both. And then in my career, I did business management at uni, came out, fell into the consulting world, been doing that for 10, 11 years, moving around, juggling the whole career progression, socializing, relationships, everything that comes with that, plus living in London, not from London. It took me a while to adjust to that. So balancing all of that alongside a fitness goals as well. And in June last year, I got myself a coach, and it was a great experience for me. I always thought it would be short term, 3 to 6 months. I actually stopped using her at the 15-month mark because I was getting so much out of it. I loved the accountability, and actually the mindset shift that I had working with her was really great, and actually took over more of my life in the sense that I was feeling burnt out with my job and decided that actually maybe now's the time to do something different. And that's kind of led me to where I am today, and got my qualifications, and I'm now trying to launch the business. So wanted to just give you that as a bit of an overview to kind of give a bit of background of how I've come to where I am now. So enough talking about me. Let's talk about what we're actually here to discuss, and the guilt-free Christmas framework. So I built this framework on 3 different pillars, and I think it's important to consider each one individually, but also that they come together and they do help each other. So you can't necessarily have one without the other, but there are standalone points that we can think about within each one of those. So I'm going to take each one individually, and I've got some tips on each as we go through. So first, around exercise. So I know that during the festive period, starting Monday, December's coming around really quickly, exercise often becomes something that we drop because our lives are busy with social things, Christmas parties, family dues, whatever it might be. And the other side of that is we can also sometimes use it as a punishment for what we've eaten. So, oh God, I ate too much yesterday. I now need to do the exercise today. And what I want to kind of portray today is I want to reframe it that movement should be used as a tool to increase energy and also our mood. So, I don't know about you, but I certainly do struggle to stay consistent throughout December. So, I too will take on some of these things that I'm going to talk through now. So, number one is keeping an element of your routine. So, if you normally go to the gym, or if you normally run or Pilates, whatever it might be that you do in your normal week, not that you have to do all of that, but keeping a focus on keeping some of that. And the reason for doing that is it's ingrained in us now and it's working. So we don't want to lose that completely. But I'm not saying that we all need to go and spend hours in the gym. It's more, can we incorporate 10, 15-minute bursts of exercise in our week and using the little bits to all add up? And what we could do with that is walking. If you're going home and spending time with family, can you do some body weight exercises, getting out with the dog, etc.? So it doesn't need to be hours worth of time. It can be short, sharp intervals that can really help them build up the overall time in the week. And what that can do, and the reason for that would be to boost your metabolism and also boost your mood. So comes with the sort of like the whole well-being. Secondly, and linked to that, is doing things that you actually enjoy. If you're busy with socializing and you don't want to go to the gym, do things that you enjoy. Dance around the kitchen, go out with the dog, do a home Pilates if you can't get to the gym. If we do things that we really enjoy, we're more likely to do it. So it's more sustainable and we are likely to keep that element of a routine in our lives throughout the month. And now, thirdly, I'm not saying that you need to go out and move every single day, but it's about being kind to yourself and moving regularly. Missing a day or even a whole week of what you normally do doesn't mean that you've failed, and you don't need to punish yourself for that. My suggestion and my recommendation is to be flexible in what you do and don't think about it as that you have to do it, and more that you want to do it and you haven't failed from losing that routine. Hopefully that makes sense. So one action I give you guys is to consider one practical action you can take into December that you will do and commit yourself to, however big or small that can be. It can be tiny, to do every day through December. So there's a bit of homework that I action you guys to take on. Just have some water a second. The next part of the framework is around nutrition. So let's talk about food. So just pop in the chat, what is the one festive food that you absolutely love and you can't, like, if it's there, you're going to enjoy it? Yes, cheese, definitely. Mince pies. Chocolates. Yeah, I agree, Tracy. It's chocolates for me. Those Lindt balls, I would demolish a whole box in seconds, honestly. They are definitely my little guilty pleasure when it comes to chocolates. But basically, our biggest source of guilt at Christmas tends to be around food. And food is not like a moral test. If we want to eat the cheese, the mince pies, the chocolates, it doesn't mean that you're not disciplined in what you're eating and what you're doing. So my 3 tips for around nutrition is indulge with intention. And what I mean by that is indulgence, and part of Christmas is all eating a little bit much, eating things we don't normally eat throughout the year. That's part of the celebration, but make it conscious. So eat the foods that you really, really enjoy and not the ones that you don't care about. So for me, Gemma, I'm not bothered by mince pies, but I love chocolates. So I would spend my enjoyment and eating around chocolates, not mince pies, and vice versa. So have something else. If there's something on offer that you don't care for, save the enjoyment for something that you do. And the reason for this would be to build a healthier relationship with food. And actually, by saving it for the things that you really like, you are less likely to overeat and mindlessly eat. So we can be conscious in what we are eating. And then the next thing is around liquid calories. So I'll start with the king of the liquids, and that is water. Throughout December, when we eat and we drink too much, staying hydrated is really, really important. So whatever you normally drink, up that. So 2-3 liters a day. That way we will suppress any additional cravings. It helps us potentially reduce the risk of any hangovers. And it just it makes us less bloated, less inflamed, etc. And so we will feel better in ourselves by upping the hydration. Also, don't skip meals and save your calories for other meals and drinks. So if you know you've got a big dinner, don't skip breakfast and lunch to save your calories for the evening meal. You will end up eating more in that evening meal than you would have done if you just spread it throughout the day. And the same with like overeating a box of chocolates, etc. Don't save it for those moments because you will end up eating more. Not to say that you can't just reduce. So if you know you're having a big evening meal, reduce your breakfast and your lunch, but make sure that you're still eating throughout the whole day. Then the other thing is around alcohol. It's obviously a big part of the year. It does have more of an impact on us than we might necessarily immediately think. It impacts our sleep, our energy, our cravings. Now, I would be extremely hypocritical to sit here now and tell you guys not to drink. I will certainly be grabbing a bottle at times throughout the month, but it's about making conscious and mindful changes and better choices in what you're drinking. So white spirits, so vodka, gin, and white rum are good choices because they are lower in sugar, plus then low calorie mixers, sodas, tonics, etc. Spritz, so having a white wine spritz or a rosé spritz just makes the drink go a little bit further. Champagne is actually quite good. It's a lower calorie option than some of the wines, so if that's your tipple. And then also just if cocktails are your thing, ones that have low sugar, so less fruit juices, etc. in them. And not just from a like calorie perspective, but having the lower sugar drinks helps minimize our chances of our blood sugar spiking and therefore the impact of hangovers, etc. Although I can't promise that there'll be no hangovers if you don't drink those things. But it's just about having those mindful swaps. And then finally, around nutrition is thinking about what you can add to your plate and your diet, not what you can take away. So if you're having a cooked breakfast, what extra veggies can you add onto your plate? So spinach, tomatoes, mushrooms, etc. By adding those extra foods on, you're increasing protein and fiber, which will help the digestion and also prevent overeating throughout the rest of the day. So it's not around what you can restrict, but adding extra nutrients into your meals will really help balance any overeating throughout the month as well. Again, the same with like a turkey pie. What extra veg can we be adding in to help balance? So in summary around nutrition, like December is not a month where our health needs to completely go off the rails. It's about how can we celebrate and enjoy what we're eating, but be mindful with our choices as well. Which leads us nicely onto the mindset pillar. So this really is around having a moment to release any of that guilt. So if there's one thing I want you guys to take away from this masterclass is that you don't need to earn rest or enjoyment. Like we are free to do that. You do not need permission to. But we need to, there are a few things we can do to help ourselves with that. So firstly, I'm sure we've all been through this. I certainly have. If you've ever noticed your brain saying, well, I've already eaten badly today, the whole day is ruined. Well, it isn't an all or nothing mindset that we need throughout December. You won't fail by enjoying the month. It's about changing the language and it being an and rather than an or. So if you've eaten a few chocolates, you don't think you failed the whole day. You can change that to be like, I enjoy the dessert and I'll still care for my body in however you move in that day. Or I can still drink alcohol and I can make conscious choices about my hydration. So it's around switching that mindset and knowing that it's not an all or nothing situation. By doing that, by changing the language, we can help ourselves to reshape a belief that we believe we can do this and we can have both, and therefore the habit will shift. The next point is around memories are way more important than counting calories. So no one is going to remember you for not having the extra roast potato. People will remember the time they had with you and making those lasting memories with your friends and your family and feeling that joy that we have around the festivities, however it is that you celebrate. So important to remember that memories and our lives should come first as well. And then finally is around moving away from a perfection mindset that says, if I can't do this perfectly, then I won't do it at all. What we need to do is around switching to be able to think, if I do something, even if it's really small, just a 10-minute walk around the block, or I'm going to take the dog out, or I'm going to do some squats in the kitchen, even the smallest things can still be progress and we can still be progressing through December. We're not going to lose weight in December, most likely, but we can still be progressing with our goals. And the other thing, and I think as women, we are more susceptible to doing this, is saying yes to a lot of things. So we often feel obliged that we need to do everything and say yes to everything in every event, etc. But it's important also to reflect and say that sometimes it's okay to say no. It's okay to have that boundary and have a healthy balance between accepting social events and not. I am guilty of that myself, and something that I'm working on to try and have that better balance to help my overall mindset. So yeah, in summary, we don't need to strive for perfection. It's about that balance and protecting ourselves. Sorry, I just need to have a cough. I have a tickle. Okay, where's my... Okay, so key takeaways from the framework as a whole is really around movement to help improve our mood and it not being a punishment, and really doing the things that you enjoy. Key thing for nutrition is to not restrict, but actually to find the nourishment and the extra nutrients so that we can enjoy our foods. And then finally around mindset is really it's balance and not perfection. And we really need to enjoy making the memories throughout the month. So that's it on the framework itself. I just wanted to give you guys a bit of information around my business and what I'm trying to do here and that the program that I'm building. And it's really, I've built on those 3 pillars around nutrition, fitness, and the mindset. And what I want to do, the philosophy I'm trying to build this on, is that I want to help you build sustainable habits that don't involve a 6-week shred or any fad diets, that actually it's a plan that will last and will help to build confidence in yourself, feel better, so that as we get older and we go through different parts of our lives, that we can still feel the fittest we can and can still be doing and be active as much as possible. And I've learned a lot from my own journey and it hasn't been easy, and it definitely wasn't linear. So I want to help others go through that same mindset shift and that same journey. And also, I'm trying to learn more around women's health specifically so that I can further my own knowledge, and then I can share that and support other women as well beyond. So things around menopause, perimenopause, etc. So that's what I'm building the whole program on. And that's the philosophy of the business. So the final thing I was going to say is that I am running an offer for those on the call, valid for the next 24 hours. So if you were interested in anything further, then you can drop me a message on Instagram and we can run through that. But that will conclude enough of me talking. So open up if you guys have any questions or anything you want to dive into a bit more. No? That's okay. I'm just going to stop recording this a second.